Good afternoon, everybody, from a very, very sunny Hove in the UK. This afternoon's Oboe Winfrey episode is featuring Gerry Keenan, our chief executive. It's really nice that he was able to catch up with me this afternoon, and he talks about all sorts of things that I'm sure you're going to find very interesting. Take care, Gerry. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Matthew. How nice to see you.
Indeed.
I missed everyone. Everyone, actually.
On that topic of missing people, I was just wondering, is it actually me that you've missed the most, or is it someone else? I just like to know.
I can't let down the rest, Matthew. Dan will be on to me very quickly.
I mean, I think there's probably a hierarchy of missing, is there, or?
We leave it there. I miss everyone. I'm an old Democrat. I'm an old lefty socialist. You know that.
Well, it's really nice of you to take the time to have a chat with me this afternoon. It's really kind of you, and I know you've been really busy. What haven't you been on the phone on a conference with Raise today? What's that all about?
Oh, Julie, yeah, it was great actually. We were on with 20 organizations with 27 people.
Yeah.
Doing a webinar about raising money.
Yeah.
But hey,
yeah, okay.
No, it's great. It's with all these. It was with tier 1 and tier 2 organizations, and we made it to tier 1 this year, which was nice. And it was strangely comforting. And I mean, everyone is facing massive challenges, But there was a real sense of let's get on with this. Like some companies are doing well was a great point, and it's true. Like the pharma companies are going to be raking it in.
Yeah, super.
So it was kind of like that, and just trying to, it's a very good time for planning, and it's we'll all come out the other end of this in some way. So we might as well be well prepared. So it was tiring. 3 hours on a Zoom call. That's the other thing. Everything you really, really miss. The reality of being in touch with people and reading body language and just interaction, because like there was 27 people around this Zoom stream, and they were all muted, and Mary was given the kind of webinar that was brilliant, but you kind of had to type your questions in. So that was the only frustration of it. I mean, I hear some awful rubbish of people saying that this is the new way of working. I certainly hope it's not.
Yeah. How are you finding working from home?
Oh. It's fine. It's fine. It's just like the novelty for the first week is okay, great. Okay, we can do this. Now we're into week 3 here. We've week 3 completed because tomorrow's Good Friday, so I think we'll take a half day at least. Yeah. Not that we're going out of it. So I said we're going away for the weekend. We're going to move to the front room. That's as good as it gets. But and it's just you miss the people. You miss Murphy, you miss Charlotte, you miss Margaret, you miss the whole gang, you know. So it's people you'd meet walking at lunchtime, stuff like that, And where you'd be having chats, you'd meet Mel Mercier or something. You say, God, what about that? And we might do that. And that's what you really miss.
Yeah, the sort of sparking.
Yeah, sure. Technically, you could do accounts, you could do emails, you could do applications, but you really miss the physicality of it.
And I mean it was quite an amazing thing to read your email saying that you actually missed the orchestra, Gerry.
Oh God, I do.
You actually miss
us. Genuinely, I do. Genuinely, I miss. It's really important to me, and it's there's a lot of good buddies in the orchestra. So it's, I guess people I've known for I'm 40 something years at this. No, just Louis will kill me, but I know Louis a long time. Yeah, right. They're not as young as they say.
Well, it's quite funny because they all say that you've been really part of their musical life for a very
annoying presence in their life all that time.
I mean, apparently you were in charge of making sure people behaved in the Irish Youth Orchestra.
I was.
Yeah,
I was.
So way back then. Yeah.
I was, and it was, I gave Malachy his first ever professional gig.
Really?
On double bass, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was, he was 17. So as the fella said, do the math.
Yeah.
What was that about?
3 years ago.
23 years ago, Mal, the check is in the post. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, so what I've done for today's interview, I emailed all the orchestra last night, and I asked them if they could send me a list of questions that they would want you to answer. Okay, so
I might miss them after this.
So just something a bit different for the viewers at home. Also, just to put it into a bit of context, my PR and media team have been in touch with me this afternoon to tell me that this video won't go out until after Easter. So we're actually we're actually filming this on Thursday, Maundy Thursday, and so this will go out after Easter. So. Just so we've got a bit of context and a bit of timeline. So the first and I think possibly the most important question is that after the first ICO concert back, please can we have the Christmas party on that day, regardless of when the concert is?
Are you sure Lisa didn't send that from Australia?
No, I promised anonymity.
It's a Christmas party, Jerry.
No, I promised anonymity. So could
we can. Oh, jeez, lads, seriously, we'll have a hell of a party, I think.
Right.
Do you know what? I was on to York and
Thomas
Detmeyer and Gabor. Like, God love them, Carolyn, Vidma, they're all going nuts. I mean, it's desperate for so many. Like, they're just starting to play. And York, I meant to say this is because hopefully a lot of the Yorkshire voices. York's just sent this gorgeous message. Do you remember the little clip from Beethoven 7? The little promo thing, just the end. And he said that, and he said, "This is madness, but I'm with ICO all the way." And it was just like, sure, look, doesn't that make your day?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're very lucky to be supported by such great international artists, really, as an orchestra. It's fantastic. It's really good. Okay, so on to the next question. So if you were to look back over the time in your career, what do you think has changed most in the concert-going public and the concert-going experience in Ireland?
That's a good question. I think they've become a bit more adventurous. I think we have made them a little bit more adventurous. You know, I kind of remember the first, particularly with York, I think some of his pieces are genuinely challenging. You know, I've heard them described as worse. But, you know, it's kind of funny. We do some of his repertoire now, and it's nearly become standard rep, you know. For instance, like the last couple of performances of Brazouk, it feels like a piece we've been playing forever. The recording of Cambrio last month was just like, you know, and like they're a piece. Do you remember we did Ad Absurdum? Do you remember we did that? And it was so hard. And it just seems that it's moved on. So I think the audience has, changed to accept a lot of that. I think we have a great loyal audience. I noticed that, and particularly in the whole Limerick area. I mean, there's just this great bunch of people that we see an awful lot, and they're really willing to go on the trip with you. And I think, you know, I'd like to think we've never disappointed them with dullness. You know, we may have driven them mad, but I think they always come out of a concert saying, it's quite interesting, you know. And personally, I've never had anyone come up to me and say, I'm never going again. That was awful. You know, and I guess, I think they have changed because we've changed. I mean, everything evolves, but I think the orchestra has changed profoundly the last 10 years. We get about a bit more, don't we? You know,
we do. I suppose all that as well, all the traveling and stuff that we do, that brings something back to Ireland as well, because what we experience culturally in the rest of the world, we're able to then express when we're playing in Limerick, and I think that's a really important thing that we're able to do.
Absolutely, because sometimes, you know, I think sometimes there's a kind of an Irish nation feel to things, much the same with yourselves in the UK. Sometimes it doesn't look out too much, and I think it just brings so much back when you go, like, you know, stuff like playing at Würzburg in the Mozart Fest, you know, playing at Heidelberg, that wonderful residency.
Yeah.
You know, apart from the achievement of it, look what we brought back from it, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
And we always played those concerts here as well. And so I think it's added hugely to us. And I hope it continues, because actually, you know, we don't do that much of it. So I don't think it's a massive carbon footprint issue.
Yeah,
such,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
You know, but who knows? Look, everything will change after this whole business, but it shouldn't change too much, I think.
Yeah.
Because they all want to hear great stuff.
Yeah.
Good music.
Yeah. Okay, on to my next question. So, do you miss having a pint in Birchall's in Ranelagh with the greatest musicians of the day? Now you're a very impressive chief executive.
It's a long time since I had a pint in Birchall. I do miss having pints in Neary's. Yeah, I certainly do.
Yeah.
Big time. What was the end of that? Now I'm watching.
Now you're a big time chief executive.
Oh, God.
I mean, I guess the question is more about how is it making that transition from a really talented musician into the area of kind of orchestra manager.
I think really talented is
well, you are my boss.
Hard working would be much better description. And a very good sight reader. That got me an awful lot of work, you know. Yeah, get your man, he's a good sight reader. He won't mess up the gig. No, but I don't think I've changed. I don't think I've changed much. I've always found, and this is a great thing about the arts, I think there's a great sense of collegiality.
Yeah.
I think one of the advantages of where I am now is that I was a musician for a long time, so I kind of understand, you know, the basics of it, as in what's the conditions, what's the money, you know. There are simple things, and like, you know, for instance, know that you're going to get paid within a reasonable time after the gig. You know, shouldn't be a big deal, but as you well know in the freelance world, it can often be a big deal. You know, months later. So it's stuff like that, and so I don't really. I think that has stood to me. There are times it's difficult. There's times you have to make, you know, harder decisions. Sometimes I wouldn't be great at them. I'd fudge them sometimes, but it's usually out of compassion, and I'd like to think that that's what I'd bring to it. So I don't see myself as this big time anything.
Okay. Well, I think we'll remember that the next time you're in your executive suite high up in that lovely tall glass building.
and when did that happen? I must get the operations manager to read that memo.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So this is a quite good question here. So we as musicians can have a bit of a reputation for being prima donnas. How do you manage with that?
No names, please. No names. Julie, and actually, do you know what? The orchestra side, there's very few prima donnas in that. So that's that. Really? Hopefully, what you're referring to is typical soloists.
Well, I don't know.
So we'll stick on that line because it's quite safe.
Yeah.
So funny enough, the really good ones, I think, are rarely that troublesome at all, actually. And the other thing, the big thing I've learned about like divas' behavior and whatever, it's generally, there's an inner nerve sometimes. You know, people are very nervous. A lot of people forget that. I mean, there's such a lonely situation where, you know, the orchestra's done its first bit, its overture generally or something similar. And then the soloist is, you know, I'm like, they're on, you know, and, you know, they can't mess up.
Yeah.
And I think often we forget about it, actually, even as just, so your whole thing really is, and if you can bring a sense of kind of, I feel like calm, and they, you know, obviously I think the other thing that helps is rehearse. We rehearse a good bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's hugely important. So there's, you know, I mean, we've had various guests that were allegedly difficult people, very strong, very harsh, you know, and they turned out to adore us. And I think it's because, I think ICO comes quite prepared B, we spend a good bit of time rehearsing, and I think that just settles everyone. So I've been very lucky. I've had one or two, but you know, they're for over a pint in the end. But honestly, generally people they're okay. You know, I mean, yeah, some people just play the game, and I choose to discreetly not try and work with them too often. Actually, that's the easiest way.
That's the easiest solution.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so and so, I'd love to play with you again. Would you?
Yeah. We'll think about that.
Yeah.
Now, next question: if you had to pick your favorite ICO moment, it doesn't have to be a concert, or just something that really, really encapsulates why you love the Irish Chamber Orchestra.
Okay, actually, do you know what? And I have no warning of this at all, but the one that springs to mind was the Concert House in Vienna. And it was particularly, I suppose, one always associates Vienna with, like, you know, nearly the birthplace of classical music. Like, it's a big center. There was two, actually. The other one was the Concert House in Berlin. There was just a great sense of achievement in getting an Irish orchestra to that, and particularly in Vienna, the Concert House in Vienna, we did 2 nights sold out. Like, it was just incredible. So there was over 3,000 people. So I guess there was a bit of that, and I just felt a great sense of, wow, here we are, we got here. And then you kind of go, well, how will we top this? And then you end up in Carnegie Hall, or you end up. But at that time, I think it was a pivotal point. And again, the other great moment, you see, you're not allowed to pick between, Gerry, are you? The other great, actually, here's the greatest moment, was Heidelberg Frühling Festival, Schumann 2. Jörg comes off the stage, like, hugged everyone in the orchestra. It was such a performance, and everyone was so emotional. And I'll never forget. Never forget.
So it's interesting, because the things that you describe are always very emotional, and they're very about feeling, and that's so lovely. Because as musicians,
I cry at films. I'm used to it.
But also for us as musicians, we, as you know perfectly well, but you know, yes, of course, we all want to play well, but we invest such a lot of our hearts in playing in the Irish Chamber Orchestra, and it means so much to us, and all the relationships we have with different people in the orchestra. And so it's really nice to hear that your favourite things are things that you connect with emotionally.
Oh, totally. I mean, isn't it lovely to hear Jörg Widmann go, my beloved ICO? I mean, how many orchestras does Jörg work with? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't doubt the genuineness of that at all, you know? Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. If you had to pick an ICO concert, and you could pick the program, and you could conduct the program, what pieces would you want to conduct the ICO playing?
Oh, Jamie, I'm in trouble now, because I'd revert to a bit of brass, a bit of the bigger sound. You know? Well, my all-time favorite symphony of Beethoven is Beethoven 7.
Right, okay.
It's just, so I'd love to conduct that. And then it would be, Haydn Trumpet Concerto. And if we could go back in time to my great buddy Graham Ashton, he's now in New York, and this is just a great old pal. And was head of Purchase. I had a brass there. I was head of brass in Purchase. Him being the soloist, and then God, what do you do for an overture? Actually. I'm rapping on a Jörg stuff, but their Freischütz. Jörg described their Freischütz as a perfect piece of music, and I'd never thought of it like that. But it's absolutely true. It's this perfect little 12 minutes of, and it has everything. So actually, that's a great choice. So I'm after rapping half of Jörg's things, but yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, totally. Well, I think I've covered all my questions, so that's what the orchestra sent in. So it's all been quite painless. What else? Just to wrap up, what else would you want people watching this on Facebook to know?
I want everyone on Facebook to know, and this is why I love this series, by the way, and fantastic that you put it together. I want them to know about the amazing people that we work as a collective, and that's the lovely thing. I don't think there's a them and us. I hope there's not, but that's what we've always striven not to have. It's very much a team. So it's nice that everyone gets the chance to see like the wonderful interview with Diane, like all these wonderful vids of people playing, like Nikki, Catherine the other day, Christian's amazing Goldberg variations. What's that about? You know, I mean, it's fantastic. So it's just great. So that shows one side. I want them to know that we really want to be back. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. I'd like to think that we will come back better than we were. Nothing else because of the sheer desire to play.
Yeah.
I deeply regret the opportunities we've missed and probably will miss, because it's just, yeah, there's a bit of time left in this. But look, the most important thing is that as many people survive as possible. So that's why we're doing stuff like this. And come the other end of it, and hopefully, arts then doesn't become a cheap cut for all these governments, you know, oh, well, you know, because the soul has to be fed as well. And we do seriously play a big part in that. Really interesting to hear. Lyric FM is becoming hugely listened to. People are switching off from all the bad news and stuff. And I think that's a real interesting indicator. You know, so people will always need people like us. And hopefully that's what they'll come out of this. And they'll know that it's you know, supporting people like us is a good thing. And I'm very, very privileged to work with a great bunch of musicians. So genuinely do miss you all. We have a great board, miss them. Jesus, we did a 3-hour board meeting a week ago on Zoom. We're worn out, but like everyone gives their time. So there's that great. It goes from top to bottom. So look, we'll be back soon. Keep the faith, lads. We'll be back. And hopefully, because I know, and I'm not making little of the challenges of this, and I know a lot of people are hurting financially. It's just desperate. But again, you know, I'm glad to say at least, you know, we've been able to do something, and that's thanks to the Arts Council. I know there's all sorts of, I get murdered for this now by some people saying, no, the Arts Council didn't do that. Yeah, they did lots of things, I'm sure, that weren't perfect, but they did help us to pay a lot of people who are not receiving stuff from anywhere else. And I think that's really important. So look at, mind yourselves, and I hope the Easter Bunny came at this stage and dropped those Easter eggs. And stay safe, stay social distancing. Don't go to your holiday home. We don't own any.
I'm in my holiday home. This is it.
By the sea. And it's lovely to talk to you, Matthew. Gosh, I could talk for another half an hour.
We know you could talk for probably about another day.
Sheila will be given out, Emma will be given out. This is too long.
Exactly.
So, look, let them edit it.
Jerry, thank you so much. It's just so lovely doing this thing. The best thing about doing this thing is that I get to see everyone, and it is just the nicest thing ever.
Yeah, big time.
All right.
You mind yourself.
Thanks a lot, Jerry. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.